What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, I want to talk to you today about peer runners. And peer runners, I don't know, you might know what they are. I have known about them for years. I've seen videos about them, but every now and then a video of peer running sneaks up into my feed, and I watch these videos, and I think they just tell us a lot about life. That's what I love about it. And so I'm going to explain what peer runners are, because I think if you're listening to this, you don't know, because I don't tug a channel, but I think that we can all learn a little bit about it. But let me just thank our sponsor today, 23 Guesses and Me. Do you want to know your heritage but don't have a lot of money? At 23 Guesses and Me, we don't use fancy and expensive technology to analyze your DNA. You simply send us a selfie and we'll guess about your ancestry and send you the results back to you in an official looking report. If you want to have a royalty in your background, just let us know. If you want an exotic ancestor, no problem. At 23 Guesses and Me, our sloppiness is your happiness. So, appreciate that. Today's episode brought to you by 23 Guesses and Me. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of us are aware of is that you can go on a cruise. Oh, that delicious cruise. Get on that big old boat, set sail in the sea very slowly, go around to some islands, see some attractions. But the cruise is making the journey in between destinations palatable. And basically, what happens is that cruise ship docks at some places, Nassau, St. Thomas, Key West, wherever, bunch of places. And they dock there, and then you usually have, say, the day or some sort of time to go out and explore the local scenery, the local towns, do some excursions. Oh, excuse me, my Coors Banquet getting to me. But one of the things that is interesting about this is that they usually push using their excursion services. So if you've ever gone on a cruise, they'll usually have a concierge or a book, and you can sign up for the excursions that you want. And what they will normally do is, if you have signed up for an excursion through the cruise company, they will guarantee that you're back to the boat on time because they know the boat schedule. They've done it a million times. They've maybe been vetted or have a kickback arrangement with the cruise or something like that. So maybe the cruise won't take off if one of their vetted partners says, hey, we need 10 more minutes, whatever. But you could also go off and do your own things. And I've done this. I've only been on a cruise once, but you can go off and just explore the town, and someone might go up and be like, hey, you want to go and see the museum or the old fort, or you want to go down to the beach, or you want to do a snorkeling trip, or you want to rent my jet ski or whatever. So you can do all that. And some of these aren't excursions, but you can do these zip lines, all this stuff. And you don't have to do it through the cruise company. And it will be often a lot cheaper and maybe even sometimes better because it's not as crowded. The problem with this, the problem with this and where it starts creating peer runners is because they don't really care about when your cruise is leaving. You've got to know that. You've got to know when the cruise ship is leaving port, when you have to be back. And there are certain times. And what I've always heard is that the time is actually more flexible. If the cruise ship is going to leave at 5 o'clock, it's usually not at 5 o'clock. It's usually at 6 o'clock, but they say to be back on board at 5 o'clock or 5:15. But the reality is, if they say they're leaving the dock at 5 o'clock or closing the doors, you better be back at 5 o'clock. But what happens is you do some of these things, maybe grab a cocktail and have a nap or whatever. For whatever reason, you're late coming back to the ship. Suddenly, you become a peer runner. And I say peer runner, Pier runner, not PER, like we're peers, you and me are colleagues or something. But I was talking about running along the piers where the ships dock. And why I love these. I love these videos. If you just type in peer runner into YouTube, you'll see some of these videos. But normally everyone gets back from their excursion. They're all at the ship. They're all waiting to leave. Everyone's anxious to go hit the seas, hit the next port. And a lot of these people will grab a cocktail, go to their window on the side of the pier. So for the people that are in staterooms on the pier side, they're going to get a good show because now you're going to start seeing people coming late. You know, that 5 o'clock time comes and goes, and some people are cutting it close. Maybe some people are experienced and they know they have a little extra time, but you start seeing people come down the piers. And there's all sorts of levels of franticness, helplessness, panic. And you'll see some people cutting it very close, but with plenty of time, just sprinting down the piers, losing clothes as they go, losing shoes. Sometimes someone will drop a cell phone and a husband will yell, "Just leave, let's get on the ship." Because if you miss the ship, the penalties are pretty dire. If you miss the ship, you can get back on the cruise, but it's up to you to get to the next port. It's my understanding. So now you got to figure out, can I even fly out of here? What's that going to cost? Because that's not on the cruise. You missed it, right? Your fault, your responsibility. So it can be expensive. And what the people are doing is they're running and people are cheering them on from the boat. Come on, man, come on, sprint run. Sometimes one person is faster than the other and they're just like, leave them. Everyone's getting a little cocky, getting a little comedic. But what I also love, and why this is something of a snapshot of humanity, is sometimes there are the people who are very late. Like I said, when they say they're departing and they actually might depart an hour later, you got to realize how much later that is. You're an hour after they told you that they were going to be gone. And so some of these people are coming down, they see the boat there, and they're just walking. They're just lollygagging. They're not running. They're not fast walking. They're not doing that fake fast walk when you're crossing the street and you see a car come and you want to make them know that you're trying to move, but you're just kind of moving your hips from side to side, not moving actually any faster, but just showing that you're putting like more effort into it. But these people aren't doing that. They're just walking. And this is where I love it. You see them starting to pull the gangplank in, and they're still just walking, thinking, oh, they'll pull it out or something. I don't know. And then the cruise ship starts, pulling away. It's only maybe a few feet off the pier. And then they're screaming. They're so wronged. They're asking why. And then there are some, what I love is when the ship is actually pretty far away from the pier. You would probably need another boat, right? These cruise ships don't move that fast, but they're maybe 30, 40 feet away from the pier, and people are still running along the pier because, I don't know, do you think they're going to stop? And I guess you must have to think they're going to stop and back up and let you on. You've got to think that. You've got to think if you're sprinting down the pier and the ship is far away, right? This is not something you can jump and hurdle and like land on the deck. So I'm not sure what that is, but I love it when you see a family or a group running down the pier and the video they're shooting is from the ship itself, and you're long gone, dude. And then they're at the end waving like, what, do you not see us? We're right here. And thinking, oh, geez, we waited an extra hour. We should just turn around. So I just love the difference in kind of panic in people. And it shows, like some people cutting it close. Hey, you might be one of those. I've cut it close sometimes, maybe no fault of my own, but it's my responsibility. And I'm still going to hightail it, make an effort to get there. But then there are some that are just so lackadaisical and they still aren't even hustling. I even feel like some of these people that are that late, and if they were just sprinting, all out sweat, trying to get to the boat, those people just might hold that gangplank for them. But it's like when you see them way down on the end of the pier and they're just walking and you're like, all right, you're not even trying. Why wait that extra? It could be 15 minutes, 10 minutes before they get to you. Maybe even longer. Some of these piers are pretty long. Some of these cruise ships get pretty big, I tell you. FYI, any idea what a modern cruise ship is in terms of size to the Titanic, which was like a crazy big ocean liner at the time? And I say that because ocean liner is different than a cruise ship, but I think a lot of people think the Titanic was so big compared to modern cruise ships, which it still was a big ship, but just not anywhere in the same ballpark as our current modern technology will allow. So anyway, I just find pier runners entertaining. I find them to be just a source of joy, entertainment, a microcosm of society, and just something worth checking out every once in a while. And it might just fire you up to make sure that you're on time for your obligations. So that's my rant for today. Peter Von Panda, out.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. Charles in charge of our days and our nights. Charles in charge of our wrongs and our rights. And I see